In life, I feel like I take myself way too seriously. Of course, this contributes to the suffering that I experience. However, I think that this is something that was probably instilled in me from a very early age. I remember in high school when I worried way too much about a test or an exam that became completely and utterly irrelevant. It's pretty interesting. I think that in life we are taught to take ourselves far more seriously than we need to. Like, sickeningly seriously. And as I'm on my journey of healing, and as I reflect, and as I recognize that a majority of the things that I've taken far too seriously, including myself, specifically myself, have just been unnecessary. So, as I reflect, and as I look at all of the tests and exams in school that I took so seriously that I don't use today, I don't think that life is as, I mean, of course, be healthy, keep safe, right? Remain stable and everything. When you really look at it and really understand what it all means, those three things, being healthy, being safe, and being stable, when it comes down to awareness, it's actually effortless. It really is. And then from there, everything else just, it kind of just like falls into balance. It all just makes sense. So, everything else is just like unnecessary. Why do we incessantly and over again worry about the same things that we do? Why do we take things so seriously when we don't need to? My thought? Trauma. I think that we are raised by people that were taught that you need to be so serious about everything. You don't. Why would you? You don't need to take things as seriously as you're told you do. Of course, remain healthy, safe, and stable. Listen to your intuition when it tells you no, and actually follow. But you don't need to take yourself so seriously. And quite honestly, the more seriously that you take yourself, I would argue, definitely based on my own experiences, the sicker you get. Yeah. I think that we are raised in a society and in families that teach us to take ourselves way too seriously, unnecessarily. Families, going back to what I was talking about in probably, at this point, somewhere between 10 and 15, maybe even 20 videos ago, I was talking about psychosomatic families, dysfunctional families. Let's look at the parents that use their children as trophies for masks of their own insecurities. This is just one example. But people who take themselves, or I should say, parents who take themselves way too seriously, most definitely teach their children to take themselves way too seriously. You don't need to take yourself too seriously. Just be easy on yourself. That's really what it's all about. It's kind of challenging because I'm here trying to make this video with boundaries, all the while suggesting what people should do. It's kind of like paradoxical and contradictory. No, I don't think that we need to take most of the things that we are told to take seriously as we do. I think that more things in life should be natural. I think that more things in life, decisions, of course, should be made from a place of intuition. You should listen to yourself when you make a decision and not anybody else, unless the person or people that you're listening to are in a very small percentage of people that actually know what the fuck they're talking about, because most people do not know what the fuck they're talking about. That's just the reality. Most people do not know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're going to end up telling you something that's just not accurate. And this all goes back to taking yourself seriously, because most people listen to most people, and then they end up in a situation that's not good for them because most people do not know what they're talking about. That's just the reality of the matter. Most people just spew bullshit fucking noise, and it's just nothing. It's just noise. It's literally all that it is. There are very, 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 very few people out there that know what the fuck they're talking about, that actually follow what the fuck they're talking about, and that will actually guide you in an honest, sincere, and genuine direction. That's just the reality of it. Everything else is just bullshit. So, yeah, I don't think that people need to take themselves as seriously as they do. I think that they learn to take themselves seriously from other people that learn to take themselves seriously. Generational trauma. When I reflect, and I look at society, I'm like, what the fuck, guys? You just continue to do this to yourself over and over again. Literally. Society. Look at society, look at generational trauma. I'm not interested in the events. I'm interested in what caused the events. What is it that caused the events? I would argue emotional immaturity. People don't know how to handle things in a mature way, so they don't. And they take things way too seriously. Ooh, on the subject of what I'm talking about, taking things way too seriously. Yeah, no, people don't know how to handle things in a mature manner. They don't. A majority of society throws a temper tantrum when things don't go their way. A majority of society does not know emotional maturity because what they know is emotional immaturity because they were raised by people that were emotionally immature or they have some mental shit. But no, we learned to take ourselves way too seriously, and we don't need to. We most definitely don't need to. The ego gets a bit of a scratch on it, and we're like, ah! No. People need to chill the fuck out. People are overly emotional, and this is what I would argue to be something that leads people to take themselves too seriously. Getting back to myself, isn't that a headline for a healing? Getting back to myself. Getting back to myself, though, the more I learn to not take myself so seriously and realize that I don't need to take myself so seriously, the better it gets for me. That's really what it is. One of the most important things I've learned on my journey of healing is to not take myself so seriously. And of course, that's different from what it previously was because I previously took myself very seriously. I mean, we were taught to. We were taught to in the home. We were taught to in school. Screw everything that the education system taught me. It's all bullshit. It's fucking noise. No, teachers. The tests that I took were not that serious. They were not that important. I do not use them in my day-to-day life. And I can't imagine that any job that I could ever get out there, unless it's a very specialized job, I didn't need any of the stuff that I learned. And I don't like that, because I didn't learn things that were important. I didn't. A society that is traumatized and emotionally immature needs to start learning the right things. And the home is not teaching the right things. And that's a massive problem. Yeah, that's a massive problem. It's a massive problem because people are emotionally stunted and they take themselves way too seriously.